All right. So this is photo critique number 204. 204. Troy Miller, what have you done 200 of? I knew you were going to say weddings, but,
Well,
aside from weddings,
yeah.
you can put another
That's
zero on that.
yeah. I've done that many weddings. I've certainly sent that many texts.
Yeah.
Um,
Have you tweeted 200 times, do you think?
no,
No?
no, I haven't been on my Twitter account for like 5 years. I don't even. I probably haven't sent more than 28 tweets.
Yeah, tweets. They're called
I,
tweets, old man.
I am. What would be social media celibate?
Really? Are you cleansing? You cleansing yourself of all? Yeah.
I
You mean you're
I
not going to
personally
sign up for your blue check mark on Twitter? Come on, it's only $8.
not anymore. I think they canceled that now.
That thing
Um,
it shows up and goes away. I can't tell. I'm not following the drama of Twitter. I just know that it's anarchy over there. So
I do not participate in any of my personal social media accounts anymore. We do for our business. Margie does that. Our
yeah,
Instagram and Facebook. She does make some posts there, and that's fine. Personally, for me, it was just there was too much stress.
yeah,
Like all the politics and all just the social shaming that's going on. Like if you say something wrong, you're gonna have a bunch of people jump down your throat. And I just thought, you know what? For my mental health, I'm just gonna step away,
yeah,
and I could not be happier.
yeah.
So
Yeah, I know. Yeah, yeah, it takes a special kind of gene to be okay with diving into that stuff and participating because it takes. I mean, the results can be great. I know we're digressing. Sorry, folks.
right,
But the results can be, from a marketing standpoint and a reach standpoint, it can be pretty
yeah, yeah.
impressive. But it takes nothing in life is free, right? It takes effort and it takes commitment and understanding the ropes so you're not stepping on a landmine, all that stuff in order to be successful, and you got to be willing to exert that kind of effort in order to get those results. So
Also, if it kind of goes back to when I was very young. I remember, it's like if you don't have anything nice to say, then don't say anything at all.
right.
And you know, uh, you being a podcaster, an influencer, YouTuber, like anybody who's had a YouTube channel for any amount of time, like you always know that you're going to get somebody who's going to come in and rant about why do I always wear a beanie?
Oh yeah, yeah.
I'm not making this up.
Uh-huh.
Like you have time to complain about that? Like please. Yeah. Go
It's
take your
true.
Adderall and
it
get just
it is 100% true. It's 100% true. Yeah, and depending on the time of the week and how hungry I am at the time that comment comes in, directly affects the tone, let's say, of my response.
right.
So,
Right.
all right, let's dive in. Who's in the chat? La
We
Dude
have
Arena's
lot.
in here. Phil's in here. Stamflea's in here. Yeah, we got
Yes.
peeps. Yeah, work picks. Hey, Mark's in here. Good, 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 good. Yeah, we got lots to talk about. A good crop of images. I say we dive in. You ready?
We do. Let's do it. Yep. Yep.
All right. This week's topic was macro. Here we go.
Macro.
Critique number 101. And first one up is Thomas with Hibiscus. Walking the
Hibiscus.
neighbor and playing around with an RF100 F28 with R5 in crop sensor mode for a little more reach. Let's take a look. Look at that. Love those
Yeah, I
colors.
love the colors. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
they they pop right away.
Yep. Neon. That's very
Uh,
alien.
yeah, and when it comes to the colors, I think that they're a little too much. I feel
Mm.
like they've been oversaturated. Um, we're starting to get some of that blue contamination in the yellow. Um, I mean, also the thing is that with an image up like this, like there's all this extra space around it that we really don't need. So I would have suggested, maybe a slightly different composition or, cropping a little bit tighter to get some more of the, that alien feel or that abstract feel without all of the bright colors
Mm.
dominating on the left.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
especially, in the reds, yellows, and oranges. Our eyes are very sensitive to those colors, and we can only look at them for so long before we need to look away to give our eyes a break. And there's a lot of that color in there. So
Yeah. Yeah, my main feedback on this one is if there's the resolution, in the image for cropping in and post, or if you could have gotten closer, this part of the image, right, like right in here is the
right,
interest, obviously, right, which makes all the rest of this stuff sort of the supporting character, or I don't want to say extraneous, but it's the supporting character to this. So, like, I find myself leaning in because I want to see what are those little things shaped as? They look like little fortune cookies or something. What's going on? So I want to know that. I want to know what this is. I want to see the little hairs on these little things, right? So yeah, which you could get there by getting much closer, if possible, giving the lens situation or the resolution situation. If you were shooting this with one of those like the GFX 100, you could probably crop in all the way to one of these little fortune cookies and be done with it, right? So,
yeah. If you're using the Craig Stampley camera, I don't think you could crop that much, but
yeah. Yeah. Are you trying to throw shade on Micro Four Thirds? Is that what I hear?
no, no, no. I would never. I would never do that.
That's a lie right there. See, now you've lost all credibility.
I can pick on Craig because he's my friend,
Yes.
and he has an amazing image in here that he shot with that camera. So I am kind of picking on him.
Yeah.
I would say to Thomas, when you see images like this and you want to get in there and you want to photograph them, one, look at how you can photograph it from a unique perspective that somebody else hasn't already done, and then two, look through the frame and decide like what don't I need and what is distracting. And in this image, I think what Frederick and I are leaning into is the fact that the actual blossom, the flower itself, is so distracting because it's so bright. And if you had just found a way to get that, what is it, a stamen, so that it was isolated against the blue only, simplify your frame, you would have this massive winner right there.
Yep. I agree. Very cool.
Craig Stampley made a frowny face in the chat.
I love it. All right, moving right along. Thomas, thank you for that image. And coming up next is Tabitha Silver with this alien. Oh my God, look at this. The stuff of nightmares right here, man. You don't want to wake up with that on your pillow.
Yeah. And speaking of resolution, I mean, shot with an iPhone, so we know that the resolution differential there between that and like an R5 is pretty huge. So
Yeah.
but I love this shot a lot because I can see the abstractness of the spider and the look and feel and stuff. I did take the liberty of looking Tabitha up on SmugMug, and this image is in there and it's cropped a little bit wider. Let me look at it in full frame. Yeah, so it's cropped a little bit more square and horizontal and has more tree, and I actually like that a little bit better, I think.
To give you more scale, a sense of scale.
Yeah. I don't think this is an image that you have to necessarily be in really close. I think it's an image that, I like the tone, I like the what am I trying to say? The stylizing of the image, right? The color grading I think is really cool. I don't think we need to push in close for that. So
Yeah. No, for sure. Yeah, I agree with those. And before we continue, because I have some thoughts on this shot too, I want to do this and then bring this comment on the screen here. Craig would like to know, and you say what? Trying to stay warm. I have a cold heart. Nice. You see what I have to deal with? Do you see what I have to deal with? I love it. But yeah, so my thoughts on this shot are, when I first saw it, I felt creepy, because spiders just do that to me. Anything with, with all those legs and joints and all that stuff. And then there's like its body is like a ball of mass. So like, what is happening here? So there's that. I feel like it's cropped a little bit tight, Tabitha, because we're getting or cropping his little feet there. I know there's feet there with mittens on them. and they're kind of cropped off the edge of the screen there. So I would love a little bit more space, or I would love in the comments to this, Tabitha, if you could post that shot that Troy's talking about, the wider crop, because that's I'm guessing that's probably that probably solves the issues I'm talking about. So that, and then I was playing around with this in my head. I was thinking, what would this look like if it were like rotated counterclockwise 90 degrees, or is it 45 degrees? 45, right? So that the spider is inverted, and it's just sort of sticking there. With that, with what would that do? Not that you need more effort, or you need more, more. What am I saying? Detail to make this image more interesting. But just this, I wonder if that would it look like an inverted image, or would people automatically look at it and say, "Oh, it's a spider. Of course, he's sticky. He's upside down." So that, and I love the circles of confusion in the background. That kind of, for me, that kind of plays on the circular body of this insect. So that's kind of cool. And the color, the processing of it, this hot spot right here is a little bit distracting. So I would maybe burn that down if you can, if possible, or draw those tones down in the highlight on the bark on the tree in the background, just so that the spider itself, assuming this is a spider and not an alien xenomorph or something, just so that he or she pops out a little better in there. But yeah, it's a cool shot. It's creepy, intentionally. I love it. All right, Tabitha Silver. Thank you. iPhone camping trip. I hope that guy didn't make it into your your tent. This is on a camping trip. All right, up next is Karen Sweeney. Karen just says, Meadow Crane's bill shot with a Nikon D850 and Sigma 105 millimeter macro at 1/100th of a second, f13 ISO 560 last July. Look at that. That's pretty. That is pretty. What do you think of this, Troy Miller? Troy? I can't hear you. You're muted. Troy's muted. Let's put Troy on screen while he troubleshoots his audio issue. There he is. I heard it. Are you back?
Am I back?
There you go. I can hear you a little bit. It's like your audio's out of sync or something.
What?
Yeah.
Not working?
Yeah. Yeah, like your words are coming out a second after you speak them.
Well, that's not good.
I love it.
I don't know what
Yeah.
to say.
Yeah. The beanie might be too tight. Karen said it's beanie muffling.
Oh, the beanie. Oh my gosh.
Oh my
Can't
god.
win.
Yeah, I think you're back now. I think this is probably an Ecamm issue. So if you couldn't hear me, yeah, you're back. You're back.
Okay.
So yeah, what are your thoughts on Karen's image?
I love this image. I love this image a lot, and I think that for me, one, because it's so clean and it's so simple, and the background is so beautifully soft. Whether it was the shot in camera that way or there's some post magic happening, I really enjoy that. And I think my favorite part of the fact is that the flower itself is sharp, edge to edge, and the color harmony in this image is really wonderful. So well done, great capture. I love this image a lot. This is great.
Yeah, this is fun. I love the beaded up water and just how water acts on flower petals like that, because that in and of itself, like pushing into just like a small quadrant like this. Again, given the resolution or proper lens, could be another image entirely, just showing the water droplets against the green blurry background and the crisp. That way you'd see some of the veins in the petal there with the water on top. There's a lot of shots in here, right? I mean, completely subjective. Even these buds over here, just kind of pushing in on them to show the hair follicles. I don't know what those are called, but the fuzzy McFuzzertons on the outside of this bud here. So yeah, very nice, cool shot.
Yeah, it's super nice. I will say I have zoomed in a little bit, Karen, and I am seeing a little bit of masking around 3 o'clock next to that petal. It looks like there's some masking, and then in between the two petals on the right hand side, we'll call it maybe like 4 o'clock. That little gap in between there. I would just clean that up. There's a little dark spot in there. I would probably just clean that up. I'm just getting picky now at this point, but
Yeah.
it's definitely amazing.
You can tell when you got a good shot when Troy Miller starts getting down to the forensic DNA level of the shot, picking it apart. This pixel here has a slight bit of chromatic aberration. I think you could get rid of that.
But to be absolutely honest, like that's how it works, right? Like the more stuff we remove, the more stuff we see until there's until it's perfect, if you can even say that.
Yeah.
And very much like there was a photo that Karen commented on in the chat, from my previous wedding about a crooked light post. Like the more you fix, the more you see.
Yeah, stuff that a normal viewer would probably never ever see, right?
Right.
But we are meticulous around these parts.
Yes.
All right, Karen
Obsessed.
Sweeney, thank you for the metal Cranesbill shot. And up next is Craig Stampley. Craig says a yellow Potter Hornet shot with his OM1 with a 60 millimeter macro, focus stacked. Wow, he went all in on this. Look at this.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Yeah, this is really wonderful. I mean, this really sort of like encapsulates what macro is capable of, with the focus stacking, and it's not just semi-close. Like this is really close.
Yeah.
So, I
mean,
really
you could
enjoy
see
this.
you could even, I mean, I wonder what the original image looks like, because you can see the texture in the eyeball and this kind of pattern behind it and the pattern on the actual, I don't know if this is called skin, but whatever this non-haired surface is on this guy, you can see the pattern in it. That's tight. Wow.
Yeah. This is really great. So, my only critique for this is really just some dodging and burning a little bit more, because it's a very flat lit subject, and if you imagine like you're doing a portrait of a person, like you want to create some more sculpting with the light, and so the whole broad side of the Hornet's head is reflective, and the eye is really, I think, where you want to be drawn to. So what I would do is just I would work on like burning some of that highlight down. Not necessarily the shadow or the blacks that are in that area, because you don't want to block them up, but taking the highlights down a little bit so that you create some separation between the main body and the eye. But other than that, I think that you've done a great job, and perfect.
Yeah, I love it. Very nice, sir. Oh, and by the way, Troy Miller, this was captured with a Micro Four Thirds camera system. Just so you know, not everything needs a Nikon Z or Z9.
I'm aware of that. I said that earlier.
Just saying. Just want to hammer that home. It's the photographer and his skill. Focus stacking. Look at that. Hey, Craig, I'm curious. Most of the time, Craig, I'm curious. You said focus stacking. Knowing Olympus, is the focus stacking feature built into that OM that you have, or did you just do it manually in post? I'm curious. Let us know in the chat or in the comments for the image.
Oh yeah, that'd be interesting to know.
Yeah. Very nice.
Because the cameras are getting so good at focus stacking that out of the camera, but I don't think you get a raw file when you focus stack in camera, right? So
I am not sure. I don't know.
Yeah,
That's
I don't
a great
know.
question. All right, up next, let's make sure we're not missing anybody. Good. Peter Levshin. He just titles it Pots.
Actually, these are not pots. These are lids.
These are lids.
So, I because of the title, the mistitling, I'm gonna knock this down like 80 points. I can't.
It's horrible. It's horrible now. It's misleading. Fake news.
Right. I mean, you could have named it like Dragon Scales, and I would have been okay. But these definitely are not pots.
This submission removed for what would Twitter say? Removed for inaccurate depiction of the truth, right?
There you go.
I like this. I like this. This is really cool. I do. When you said dragon scales, that's what I thought when I looked at it. I thought scales. I think dragon, but I thought, man, this looks like scales. I could see some kind of Pixar creation with scales like this. Some animated thing. But what do you think of this on the
Yeah.
merits of just like it's? I mean, macro for one. Is this macro? I love the pattern. I love the reflectivity and the creativity of this shot. But is it macro? I don't know.
Um, I would not call this macro. Um, it's it's not zooming into a small portion of the world, right? But as an overall image, like I think it's really wonderful, and I think that one is the abstract element, and then two the idea that from one singular perspective, you can look into this image and see. What do we got? Like 18 perspectives or 12 perspectives, right? Because of the
Yeah.
way that it's reflecting off the
Mm-hmm.
pots.
Yep.
Um,
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. I
so
like
I
it.
think it's
This.
a good exercise in vision.
You know what? It's interesting. I thought for sure, knowing you, that you would call attention to this corner up here and say something about that dark corner.
Well, I certainly saw it, but I have a lot to say about other things, so I left that one alone.
That's so bad. Why are you
It's
so
the
mean to
first
Peter?
thing you
Why are you so
see.
mean to Peter? Peter's a great guy. He never rubs anybody the wrong way.
Not
And
mean
you're,
to Peter. And you know what? Peter knows all this.
yeah.
So, you know,
Oh my
um,
god. Yeah. I love this shot. This is cool. I have nothing to add here. I love the abstractness. Other than that corner right there, which is distracting and easily
yeah,
fixable. Yeah, that's the only comment I have on the shot. I even like the thick black border on there that kind of pulls
yeah.
into the boldness of the round shapes in there. So really good.
Yeah, and just to speak to that corner a little bit, somebody may be saying, well, like, why does that matter? Why are you looking at that? Well, it breaks continuity, really, is what it is. It breaks the harmony of the edge of the image, right? And so that's just one of those kind of things that if you want to have an image that doesn't have any distractions to people, whether they recognize what they are or not, you've got to look for those things.
Yeah.
The fact that he didn't cut the handle off in the top left corner or the lower right hand corner is commendable. He had to crop, some handles at the top, but he did it appropriately so that they're just barely in there,
Hmm.
right? So fixing those little tiny things can improve your viewer experience for sure.
Yeah. Absolutely. Good job though, Peter. I love it. I love the processing and all that. This is one of those images I think could be strong in black and white as well. Because then it really
Yep.
reduces it down to a study in patterns and composition versus the color in there distracting us a little bit. Not that it's that distracting because it's repeating, but
Right.
it'd be even less distracting. It'd be even more about the pot lids
Right.
rather. Yeah.
We'll just call them pot. He called them pots. That's what they are.
Beer pots, yeah. I want to go back up to this guy and bring on Stampley's comment here. He says he built this. This was done with the built-in stacking feature in his OM, and it's 15
Oh,
images.
nice.
So very nice, very nice. Good
Yeah,
work, sir.
nicely done.
Good
Nicely done.
work.
Yeah, there are some hair issues at the top I'm noticing now, but I won't bring those up.
Uh-oh. It's like crap. Why did he go back? No, I love it. All right, and next, make sure we're not missing anyone. Next is Phil Lewenthal. He calls this foiled.
Foiled. Yeah. This is really interesting. This is really neat. I at first like I just enjoy the shapes and the patterns, that soft flowing lines on the left, and then you've got that hard crunchy whatever that thing is on the right, which we know was foil.
Hmm.
And I'm wondering, what inspired Phil to make this? Because I really do enjoy it. I think we have a little too much space on the left, but not a ton. I kind of feel like square would be stronger.
It's
I don't know.
it's
What do
where
you
the
think?
text. It's for text. That's where the text
It's
goes.
for text.
Look
It's
at that right
always for
here.
text.
I can see it like a translucent white text box here, slightly translucent, and your headline here, and just copy right there. Done. Done. It's all about I don't know. I mean, this is abstract, so it could be about anything, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah. I would love to. I would love to know more about this, Phil. Like, what your thought process was, and kind of what brought you to this image, because this is so different than what you all already do, what you
Yeah.
normally do. So
Yeah. We very rarely see macros from Phil, if at all. This may be the first one I've seen. He's, more of a landscape shooter.
yeah, no, this is really nice, Phil. Whatever direction you've taken this particular project, I think that it's definitely worthy of some more discovery.
Yeah, I'd be
Yeah, I
curious to
love the shape.
know the lens combination he used for this, because that depth of field is severely shallow. So I'm wondering if he pulled out that long lens. So
Right, right, right. Very
yeah,
nice. Love it,
yep.
Phil. Enter this in competition. I think people would be surprisingly confused. You're either going to get a really crappy score because they don't know what it is and they're not confident in judging, or they're going to give it a really high score because they love the abstract nature of it. So I would give
Yeah,
it a high score.
yeah. Hey, this will make a good image for a holiday card too, or maybe just a card. Maybe not holiday,
It's
because I
got
don't know
room for text.
what holiday would you be celebrating? Moon
Well,
landing
that looks like a
day.
lump of coal.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, you've been naughty. There you go. No, like it. Very good, Phil. Very
Yeah,
good,
well
sir.
done.
All right, next up is James Glennie. He says, "Illuminate your inner self."
Now this has got me wondering what this is. First and foremost, let me say I love this. I think this is fantastic. Anytime that you create an image that somebody identifies with or really likes, but has a mystery to it, I think you've been very successful. I even love the highlight that's in there because it's telling me that it's shiny right there a little bit.
Yeah. It comes to mind first when I look at this, when I first saw this image? I can't do that, Dave.
Oh,
Hal, close the pod bay doors. I'm sorry, Dave. I can't do that right now.
yeah, yeah. At first I thought it was a hard drive, like a hard drive stack, right? Like a bunch of hard drives, a platter. Then I thought, well, maybe these are like grinding discs,
Mm.
like angle grinding discs. But then there's that shiny part, so I'm not quite sure what that is. Doesn't matter. The
Doesn't.
repeating patterns, the
That's
subtle
the whole point of
tones.
this shot. That's the whole point of abstracts, right? To make you think and pull you into it, and we're drawn in, and we're spending more time on the image because we're intrigued
Right,
by it. So well done, sir. Well done.
right, right. Right. Yeah. It's well done. I don't have anything to add. I think that it's really great. I mean, I think if I want to get nitpicky, the only thing I would do is where the platters intersect the bottom, I would probably burn that down a little bit more so that the platters above it are brighter than the very last platter that's touching the edge of the frame. I would take that one down and then I would layer the tone as we came up, just so that it keeps your eye in the frame like you have at the top.
Yep, I agree. Yeah, and a shot like this, these low key shots are tricky, right? Especially when you're trying to critique them on a live stream and it's going through multiple layers of compression, right? It's
Right.
being compressed out to me and then you from me, and then YouTube is compressing it again and sending it down to your computer. So yeah, we're lucky we see anything. So,
Yeah. Yeah, there could be a completely different image in there, right? We don't know when it comes to
exactly.
dark. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's better than Mighty Networks. Remember that? That was
Oh, I know.
Mighty
Yeah,
Networks. At
that was
least
awful.
then, I don't know if they've improved their algorithm at all, but their image handling was brutal. I mean, it was sledgehammer at a carnival brutal. It was just bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yep. All right. Thank you, James Gliddy. And then
Next,
up next is Eric Pronsky. See, water
Eric.
on the pedals. Um, he says this is a crenum lily blooming after a gentle rain. Image taken at the Lady Bird Johnson Wildflower Center in Austin, Tejas, with a 105
Cool.
millimeter macro composite of two images. One shot at 2.8 to blur the background, and the other at f16 for better depth of field for the flower. Yes.
Nice. Nicely done. That's a great technique. That's a wonderful technique to use.
Yeah. That's kind of reminiscent of the technique you use for astrophotography as well, right? You do a shot for it's the reverse kind of. You do a shot for the foreground, like if there's a something in the foreground, like an old car or a building or a house or something, and then your long exposure for the Milky Way, right?
Yeah, those most of the Milky Way shots that we're seeing now, and a lot of the landscape shots are multiple shots throughout the day at different lighting times to kind of fill in, all the different lighting spectrums that you have throughout the day. So yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's very common. So it's a small step like that, but what a great technique,
Hmm.
and it makes it so much easier to be able to mask out that background and blur it if you're done in camera. So then you can just layer them together, align them, and then you just create a layer mask. So that's a wonderful technique. I
Yeah.
I would probably, if this were mine, I would probably take the background down maybe half a stop, darker,
Hmm.
not changing the tone or anything at all, but just take it slightly darker to give us a little bit more separation. And then saturate those tones, or maybe just bring the blacks down on the flower a tiny bit, because that'll increase that saturation if you bring down, the shadows and the blacks.
Yeah. I wonder if this was Eric's shot, right? I wonder if he used the new masking tools in Lightroom or Camera Raw to isolate the flower from the background. You
Uh-huh.
know, prior to compositing, because you can isolate them. I mean, you wouldn't even need to composite it then if the masking and the selection was accurate enough. You could take this image and say, yeah, pop me out that flower, and then everything else I want to take it down a half a stop. Boom. And maybe on the flower I'm going to add some clarity and some saturation, and you're done, right? Versus in
Oh
the old
yeah.
days we'd have to, like, presumably what he did here was take two images and then meticulously composite them together. Those, I wonder if the new masking tools are accurate enough to handle something like this. Seems like it would be. This seems pretty straightforward with the color
Yeah.
differences and all that.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I can't speak to, like, Lightroom or the Photoshop Raw editor, but I know, like, in Capture One, that you can select a color range, and this type of image would absolutely be ideal for that, because you could select those warm tones, right? The magentas and the reds and the cyan and the cyans. There's a little bit of cyan in there, and then you could say, okay, I want to sharpen only here
Yeah.
in this highlight range. And so, yeah, there's so many things that you could do with this to really just kind of get that to pop.
Yeah. Yeah, I love it. Yeah, and it's almost like, speaking of popping, it's almost popping off of the screen, right? It's almost in 3D.
Yeah,
It's just kind
wonderful.
of hovering there right out of the display. So I love it. Really cool.
Yep. Yep. Well done, Eric. Well done.
Well done. Like a bad steak. Well done. All right. Next up is Mark Charette. Change of heart. I give you my eye. What the heck is going on here?
Yeah, that's neat.
Oh wow! Look at that.
That's really cool. I love these close-ups, like, of the eye and things like that. And the fact that it's looking, I say it as if it's its own entity. The eye is looking off to camera right. Um, I think that's really wonderful. So you've got a really cool image here. I will say I will say though, I can see a bunch of cloning tracks in here. Um,
Oh, let me see if I can find him now. It's a hunt.
so
Oh, I see one right here, right there. Is that
oh yeah,
one?
there's way more.
There's another one right there.
Uh,
See, Mark, you see what's happening here? See, you make us start hunting for clone tracks. So how would you
nine.
avoid that? What, like, for people that, like, are, not that Mark's having trouble with it. Mark's an accomplished photographer, but for people that are having trouble with the clone tool and hiding their tracks, you have any tips for how best to go about that to be kind of more stealthy?
Yeah, well, first of all, you have to be really cautious of where you're cloning from. So in this particular situation, if you look at, 9 o'clock from the pupil, you'll see what looks like some fine fibers, right? We'll call them fibers, but maybe they're reflections or whatever. And they're repeated below that one area. And what's happened is you may have wanted to clone something out, and then you chose from an area nearby. Now, that's just the consciousness of when you're working. It's like, okay, if I clone this in here, that's gonna repeat that pattern. So then what you have to do is you have to go back and you have to break the pattern by taking out a couple pieces that make it obvious.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to describe, right? So like if you're going to clone one of these eyelashes over, you're going to realize that eyelash is going to look exactly like another one next to it. So what do? You make it a little bit shorter, or you turn it slightly if you can. Like you break the pattern.
Yeah.
And that's just very common. Any type of cloning or content aware, it repeats. It's easy to repeat the patterns.
Mm-hmm. And that's the telltale sign. That's the hard thing. I mean, would you say areas of high frequency versus low frequency are easier? Like, for example, high frequency would be a grassy field, or repeating patterns, well, kind of natural repeating patterns, like a grassy field. All the blades of grass are kind of naturally repeating, but they're also very, very much random, like waves or leaves on a tree. Like, what's easier to clone or to hide your tracks with?
And that's a really interesting question, because you would think that a high frequency area would be easier, and it depends on the tools that you're using. So the problem with high frequency areas like grass or water reflections is that there is a pattern in nature, and I say it's a pattern, but it's not a pattern, right? It's an irregularity in nature that looks normal. The moment you start to clone it, you start to create an artificial pattern that I think our brains can just naturally see. So I think high frequency stuff is often harder to make it look natural, because then you got to deal with toning. And also, like in Photoshop, and I'm sure there's somebody that has answers to this. I haven't figured them out yet, but when you do content aware fill, or you're using the healing brush, it really creates weird chunky patterns in the grass, in sand, things like that. It gets clumpy. It looks weird.
Yeah.
So I find it harder, even doing frequency separation and stuff like that. I find them harder to make them look natural.
Yeah, yeah. This is Karen, the Laduna Arena. Karen has a good comment in the chat. She says, sometimes I create a brush consisting of a whole leaf, and then I place them where required. I was going to say that because I've seen that. Aaron Nace has done tutorials where he'll create a blade or a couple of blades of grass, and then that brush tool is amazing. The power in there, because you can create randomness and randomize the opacity, the tilt angle, and multiple axes, and slightly adjust the size each time it draws a new blade. Right? So
I know.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And I still think that, and it would be interesting to see a study of this done, but I still think that there is a difference between nature's randomness and mathematical randomness that we can do in a computer. I still think that like leaves that are placed in a tree through a brush don't have the same natural look that you would get in nature, right? I think there's something there that I think just makes it look fake.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Interesting.
not always, but
Yeah, it's just something to be cognizant of as you're
right.
trying to sell the illusion, right?
But most importantly, to go back to your question about how to avoid this, like, just be super conscious, right? That if I'm going to clone out a piece of trash on the grass with this area of grass, is there a recognizable pattern in that grass? And if there is, in one of the two locations, just do some more cloning or dodging and burning to sort of break the pattern. That's all you got to do.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Really, really interesting. All right. And Mark in the chat brings up the Fibonacci sequence, or the Fibonacci sequence of numbers, which for those that don't know, it's a quote naturally occurring sequence that describes things that we see, a lot of things that we see in everyday life, like the cone of a snail, right? That pattern in there adheres to the Fibonacci sequence, or anything that you see with not anything, but many things you see with a repeating pattern in there can mathematically be reduced down to the Fibonacci sequence, which in my brain means that we're living in a simulation, right? because
I knew it.
So you knew I was going to go there. So. Oh, and speaking of conspiracy theories like that, Mark, I got your note on aliens, and I will be responding. I'm just giving some thought to my response.
Oh my gosh.
We're chatting, we're DMing in the community right now about aliens. So, all right, thank you very much, sir, for that. And moving right along is Nora Zanotness. She calls this one The Edge.
Gosh, Nora's always like a mystery. Like, what the hell is this thing?
Yeah. I have no idea. I don't know if I want to know, to be honest with you.
I want to know. I mean, part of me really wants to know because I think that, it makes it easier to identify, with something. I'm always inquisitive.
Yeah. But sometimes you don't want to
But
know. Like, looking at shots of critters that live on your body through an electron microscope or something.
yes, I
I
love
don't want to
that.
know about them. I don't want to know about those.
They live there whether you look at them or not.
Exactly. So what's the point of looking at them?
Knowledge is power.
Yes, it
Um,
is.
so Nora, I love this. I think that it's super interesting. It's a little uncomfortable. It's a little weird, which I really like a lot. Right away, not knowing what it is doesn't really matter. But right away, I love the separation that you have diagonally with the shadow to our left and the highlights to the right. In the background. I think that's super fun. I think that we could lose half of the left side or something so that the left side distance and the bottom are the same. So it really feels like it's going from corner to corner. So I might crop the left side off a tad bit. Um, and this is just entirely up to you, but maybe do some color grading on this. Give it a warmer tone or give it a bluer tone, a cooler tone, or something like that, as opposed to like the brown.
Hmm.
I feel like that's too middle ground, too lukewarm, if you will.
Nora says
Uh,
it's
oh,
the
Nor
edge of a feather.
clever,
See that?
very
I
clever.
never would have got that. I mean, I wouldn't have got that to save my life. Like, Johnson, you can get out of here if you just tell us what this shot is. I was like, post-op Frankenstein? I don't know.
Well, originally I thought like this was some kind of brush, but it doesn't look like a brush. It looks more organic. So, but
Hmm.
I never would have gone. I don't know that I would have gotten to a feather, but
No,
um,
no.
well done,
Uh,
Nora. I think that
well
it's. I
done.
think that it's. Yeah, super clever. Um, I love what you've done there. So
Yeah. Yeah, Karen says she was thinking fish teeth. Yeah. Yeah, but yeah, definitely organic for sure. I just didn't know. My brain was even going, well, maybe she's trying to trick us. Maybe this is like some sort of large landscape geographical filter that's with some depth of field thrown in there to throw us off the scent. But yeah. Amazing what you can do with just everyday objects found around the house, right? All
right. Yep.
right.
Yep. Super nice. Super nice.
Thank you, Nora. Next up is Paolo. Paolo says, Winter is coming. And I am coming in late. Sorry. Oh, no worries. Yes, winter is coming. Look at
This
this.
is
It's
this
like a
is beautiful.
firework. It's an icy firework.
Yeah, it's super cool. I one Paulo, I really love the color grading that you did to this. I love the fact that you didn't oversaturate the blues. I like the fact that the ice still has that sort of grayish monochromatic cool tone, so it feels cold. Um, I really appreciate that a lot. For me, I think that too much of this image is out of focus. So I see two ways of handling this image. One, cropping it really nice and tight and making it square. So,
Mm,
the distance you have top and bottom, do the same thing left and right, kind of get rid of some of that background that we don't need. Um, the other way that I see this image is sort of dissecting the flower horizontally and then down because the lower crystals are the ones that are the sharpest. So if you crop it horizontally through the flower and then just take the lower half and so you have sort of a horizontal image, I think that would be exceptionally powerful.
yeah.
That would be my choice. Then the crystals really pop because they're tack sharp. They're nice.
Yeah. Yeah. I want to see the crystals be tack sharp all the way down to the middle here. Like my brain wants this to be in focus as well. All this, yes, lusciously soft and out of focus. It's perfect. With these crispy ice crystals sitting on top of that, and like you said, the color grade, the cool color grade, great. I just want this piece because it's in the middle of the shot, right? I want that to be tack sharp, mainly because in the middle. Aside from that, if you weren't going to do that, I was thinking similar to what you were thinking, Troy. Like, what if you bisect the image vertically, like cut right through here? Maybe even if this is not in focus, it wouldn't matter that much if you're cutting it like down the middle just to add visual interest. And now you have kind of this starburst shooting from off frame into the frame in any direction, right? It could be top to bottom, left to right, right to left, whatever.
Yeah.
But just to use that instead of showing the entire thing, we're showing a piece of it, which might even add more visual interest to it, because now, like, why is this cut off and where are those coming from? And it looks like they're moving. There's a sense of motion of them coming into the frame. But yeah,
Right.
I love this. I love that sort of tealish color. It's that teal. It's the warm and teal stuff, right?
Yeah.
That Steven's always talking
Yeah,
about.
because it works. It's a
Yeah.
it's a wonderful color harmony. I think that it's beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah, I love it too.
And to your comment about, having it sharp through the center, at first I kind of thought that same thing, and then I thought, well, I like what he's done here with the depth, right, that's created, and that's why I want to push into the crystals on the tip more, so
Yeah.
that out of focus depth makes sense as opposed to just being out of focus, which I kind of get that feeling now, right? Like just as the wide shot. So, and I have to ask, I mean, it says freeze 2. Is there a freeze 1 that I want to see?
Oh, you mean on the frame down here? Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like I've stepped into like the second half of a movie. I want to see the first one.
Yeah. Yeah. I need the prequel. Come on.
We need the prequel.
Yeah. Yeah, I dig it. Cool shot. I love this.
Yep. Well done.
Well done, Paolo.
Well done, Paulo.
Thank you. All right, next up is Troy Miller. It's a metal thing. See, this is reminiscent of Nora's shot a little bit too, with the line of, inexplicable, but this is clearly not organic, right? Or is it?
No,
I don't know.
And I will tell you, I was inspired by Nora to post this image, because when I looked at her image, I thought, oh my gosh, that reminds me of one that I have. So I thought I would throw this in here. This is actually from a plasma cutter. If anybody's ever used a plasma cutter, if you don't cut all the way through the metal, it just kind of makes the metal heat up and splash, and that's what this is. So it's a close-up shot of that. So it was an experimental shot that I was kind of playing with some of the metal pieces that I had and some of the burned steel. So
This is what you get when you cross someone that has an unnatural adoration for fire, that owns blowtorches and great camera gear and a man cave in the garage. Right. This is
But when I'm in the garage and I'm building stuff, I'm building furniture, I'm doing whatever, and I grind the patterns or I clean something, and the sunlight hits it just so, you're like, ooh, everything's got to stop, and you have to photograph it.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
that's what this was.
Yeah. La Dunarina, Karen says it looks like a snake being spaghettified by a black hole. Yep, I can see that. I don't know what that snake would be doing that close to a black hole, but yeah, it could be.
Right.
It could
And so
definitely
this is a work in progress. So this is it's not the end result. It's not my favorite, but it's not bad. It's getting there. But I thought it was a fun shot.
No, this is good. Love it. Abstractness.
Yep.
All right, and up next is Jim Peters. He says, "Is Jim? Are you the last? Oh, it's Jim's last. He
He's the
says,
last. Yeah.
Bubble up. Look at that.
Yeah, that's super cool.
It's like
That
a
is-
town hall meeting on Planet Bubble."
Yeah. This is one of those kind of images that I would love to see, at 120 inches and super high resolution, so you can just walk up and feel like you're standing in the bubble.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
Yeah,
This is
it's
cool.
a-
I'd be
it's a
curious to know
cool-
how he got this, how he shot this. I mean, the truth of these shots is they look stunning. I think that's the thing about macro, right? It looks visually arresting when you look at it, because it's something, it's usually an everyday object for the most part, but you're seeing it like you've probably never seen it before, which makes it visually arresting. But then when you look at the behind the scenes, it's like, oh, that's it. You know, use the camera
Yeah.
and this, and you threw a black piece of construction paper back there, and boom, now you have this fine art. You know, so I'd be curious to know what the process was to shoot this, Jim. This is really nice.
Yeah. Yeah, me as well. I dig it. I don't really have a lot to add. I think that it's fun, it's simple, it's clean. We recognize what it is, which I think kind of helps mentally, to kind of like just accept what it is. So yeah, it's a great shot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, love it. Fun, fun, fun. And I love the blue too. The teal in here kind of feels like these are, scrubbing bubbles or something. Remember that commercial? Remember the
Yeah.
scrubbing bubbles? That's what
Yeah.
it feels like.
Yeah.
Yeah, very cool. In fact, I see faces in some of them, like right here. Look at that face. There's a face in there. There's another face right here. You see that? I see
You
faces
see
in
faces
here.
in everything.
I do, because they're everywhere. I can't.
People are watching.
Yes, I anthropomorphize everything. All right. Well, cool. So, any thoughts on a favorite? As I always do when I put us on screen like this at the end, I'm going through and I'm finding my favorite, and we'll see if it matches yours, so that I can just quickly go to it. So,
Yeah. Yeah. My favorite is Craig Stampley's.
boom, right there.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
a huge fan of that, and I will say it's not, it's an amazing image, but also I love the fact that he leaned into the deep macro of stacking images, and that, I mean, there's so much power there, and I think that it's very encouraging for others to do the same.
Yeah. No, I agree. I agree. Yeah, and Craig, I'd be curious to know, maybe, I mean, I don't know, I'm sure there's YouTube videos and tutorials on this, but how that focus stacking feature on the OM works. Is it complicated, or is it simple? Just put your camera on a tripod, put it in that mode, and trigger it, and it does its thing. I know with the on Lumix cameras, they also have a focus stacking mode, and they will scan through the image, and you could see the focus peaking area that's in focus as it rolls back through the different steps of areas that are in focus, and then it'll put it all together and generate a raw file from that stacked image, a raw and a JPEG, depending on your settings. And then you take
Yeah.
that, obviously, and do your final post processing. I wonder if Olympus follows the same kind of route.
Yeah, so just, for anybody that's going to do focus stacking, and even like on this image, if you really want to, print it big, or you're going to get into it, watch, you got to get in there and look for errors, because focus stacking almost always has some errors, and it's usually in finer details. So like hair, for example, as it pushes back, there'll be areas where the hair just doesn't connect to anything. It's just like floating.
Yep.
Because it didn't grab that little piece of hair. So you kind of got to watch all that kind of stuff. But it would be great to see how you did this, and definitely encourage other people to take advantage of their gear and do this, because
Yeah.
macro or landscape doesn't matter, right? You can focus stack.
Yeah. Yeah. Craig says, let me see if I can't make this comment a little bit more legible here. There we go. He says it's reasonably simple. Select the amount of frames, and then he played around with apertures to get a pleasing result with minimal errors. Yeah, there you go. Occam's razor.
Yep.
I love it. Cool. Very good. All right. Well, that's it for this one. Thank you, everybody, for participating in this
Everybody
critique. Macro,
cheers.
macro, right? I feel like I want to do this again. Maybe we should do macro 2 next week. Um, no, but the next week, what date is that? 1 week from today is the 21st. That's an open general critique where folks will jump in. We did not do one this past week because I got my COVID booster shot, was not feeling well. But now
Yay.
I'm right as rain again. So this coming Monday will be the open general, where members can just come in, come as you are, bring an image or two, and we'll just shoot the breeze about them. The following week, November 28th, which happens to be my birthday, I don't know if this was planned, but the topic is critters. So bugs and critters. So some of the shots that were in this crop could theoretically go in that one, but do
Yeah.
something fresh
Yeah.
and something exciting for that one. But yeah, Bugs and Critters for the Monday, November 28th photo critique. At which
Yep.
time I will more than likely be on the island of Maui when we do that. So I will be dialing in with shorts on from the pool. So, or maybe the beach. I don't know. You know, who knows? Or a zip line. Who
Right.
knows?
So no
right?
connection issues could possibly happen during that.
Come on,
Yeah.
it's Hawaii. You know, I think they got it sorted.
Yeah. I can just see how it's going to start, though. Be like, all right, guys, let's get. Oh, Frederick's gone. Like, yeah.
It could happen.
Sure.
It could happen. It could happen.
Bad connection.
Yes. Yeah. Hey, it's not working. It's not. Gotta go. Aloha. No, this will be good. Well, thanks everybody for participating. This has been fantastic. What Work Picks is asking, will I keep my hat on? Are you talking to me or Troy? Troy is the one that has a hat that's a fixture.
I don't
Mine
wear
comes
a
off
hat.
from time to time. Oh, there's no hat up there. That's natural?
I don't wear a hat. It's a beanie. It's
Oh.
not a hat.
I thought a hat meant an article of clothing that one places on one's head. So
A
that
hat has to have a bill. There's no bill.
okay.
Come on.
All right. Community, we will discuss the finer
We will
points
not.
of the hats.
No, we will not. I'm just
in
going to
the
delete
next
every
mixer.
post.
Yes, and
Nope.
sound off in the community on what constitutes a hat. Yeah, so we'll see.
If your
All
posts
right.
disappear, it's not my fault.
Yeah, no, you do have admin power, so you can do that. So, all right,
everybody.
Hey, that's see, no tampering with elections or anything like that in the community, man. Don't be trying to change the votes. All right, we'll leave it right there. Thanks everybody for joining in on this. It was always a ton of fun to start the week with, to talk about photography, get our week started. So get started on those critter shots. You know, I'm interested to see. You know, the topic, the title of that critique is bugs and critters. So, what's a critter? I don't know. Troy, what's a critter? You know,
Anything that's not a
up to
bug.
interpretation. Anything that's not a bug. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
aliens, all the things.
Yeah.
All right.
Do it.
Yep. And everybody wear a hat to the next critique, just in solidarity, or the next mixer in
Yeah, 'cause
solidarity.
it'll be on Frederick's birthday.
It
so,
will Yeah. Well, no, the next mixer will be this Friday. So that
well,
is
the
not my
mixer, but I meant the next.
the next in person one. Yeah, I will. Yeah, or dress in Hawaiian garb, just so you know, get with it. I will have a Hawaiian shirt on that.
I will
on
wear
that,
my favorite
critique.
color.
Yeah, the lack thereof. That is not a color. Is gray a color? I don't think so.
Yeah, different discussion. Say good night.
Yeah. Good night, Gracie. All right. See you later. Thanks, everybody. Take care. Have a great week.
Bye, everyone.